Hi, I'm Shannon from houseimprovements.com. Today's video is going to deal with insulating the rim joist area of your home. In this, we've got a couple different ways of doing this, but this one video that we're going to do today is going to deal with using bad insulation, a combination of bad insulation and 2-inch rigid foam and canned spray foam. So we purposely kind of picked one real difficult spot and one that's going to be super easy, just to show you what all's involved. In this particular house, and I don't even know if you can see, the joists are filled with concrete. Not every home is going to have that. So you might actually have another 8 or so inches of space back there. So what I would do typically is use some bad insulation to initially fill the bulk of that space back there and leave the last 2 or 3 inches over the basement wall for the rigid foam. Okay. So in this case, we've got a duct. We're going to deal with this one first. We've got a duct kind of in the way. So I actually can't even use all of this bat, so I'm just going to rip it in half for this one spot. So I'm just going to get this up in there. First, I've had it pre-cut to size. The trick is getting it up in behind the HVAC boot here. Just like that, and down there. Okay, so that's easy enough. Now, the pieces of foam that I've got, I pre-cut them or pre-worked them a little bit. Hopefully I don't have to do too much adjusting on them. Because of this scenario, it's really tricky. We've got to do it in pieces to make it work. So I've kind of pre-cut some pieces here to work around this boot, so I'm just going to slide them into place. And this you just kind of make up on the go as you need it, sort of thing. You know, depending on your situation, your boot might be out further if you didn't have the concrete infill, so you might only be dealing with the pipe to go around. But in this case, we've kind of got the slope of the boot in the way as well. Okay, then I've got these other guys. I want to pull these. I've got these other guys here that kind of go up and around. And in this case, our boot is out, or actually inward further than normal, so we can't get this piece right back there. That's why I needed this extra one here to help fill in. And this goes underneath. Put this in there. That's going to need a little fine tuning. And I know what you're thinking, it looks really crude, but once we get it sealed up with the spray foam, it's going to be really good. You lose a lot of heat and airflow. There's a lot of airflow through these spaces, so it's very important to have them sealed up. I'm just using a drywall saw. If you're just doing straight cuts or whatever, simply a utility knife will do it. But so just kind of carving it out. It doesn't have to be a super tight fit because we're going to fill in all the gaps with foam afterwards. Try this piece again. Okay, that's a little bit better. And like I said, this is not exactly what you're going to find every time, but okay, so you basically want to get it in there. You've got all these gaps though. Okay, we need to spray foam those up and seal them all up nice and tight. What this does is it not only doing it this way not only seals it and insulates it, or sorry, not only insulates it, but it seals it as well, so you don't have to run a poly vapor barrier up in there. So as long as you're using 2-inch foam, it'll act as your vapor barrier as well, and as long as you get all this sealed up really well. You'll see the next one will be a lot better, a lot nicer to work with, but just use some canned spray foam. I might advise that you have rubber gloves and safety glasses on as well when you're doing this. So I just want to seal up any voids that I find all the way around. And again, it's a little tricky because of this duct in the way. But just do the absolute best you can around it. Okay. The the spray foam will actually kind of bond that rigid foam in place as well and basically hold it there for you. Okay, I can't see my other side, so I'm just going to move my ladder a bit so I can have a look up in there. Yeah, there's a gap there. I'm sorry, but I'm going to be in the way here for a minute. Okay, so that's going to seal that all up nice and tight. I'm just going to go on to the next one, which is a more typical space where there's no obstructions in there. I mean, sometimes there's going to be wiring, all that kind of stuff, so you just got to, like I said, kind of got to make it up as best you can as you go, depending what your situation is. So this one I can use a full thickness of R12 in there. In fact, that's probably a little bit high. Just going to cut a little bit off here. Okay, you don't want to compact it in there real tight because it'll just won't have any R value at all. Pre-cut your block of styrofoam, 2-inch. Actually, that's a little tight too. This doesn't have to be tight. In fact, it's better if you have the gap there to properly fill it. Okay, so that you can see I've got a good 1/8-inch gap all the way around. And I'm just going to simply fill that crevice in. So you can see how a standard one actually is pretty quick and easy to do. Okay, and that's just sealing that right up. That foam will expand and do its thing and harden up in a fairly short time. So you can go along, do pretty well. You can pretty much do this on any one of these spots. One thing that I will warn you about: if you're doing this in a room where there's not going to be a finished ceiling, utility room, something like this, most areas will not allow this to be exposed because of fire. I believe it gives off noxious fumes when it burns. So what they require then is it's covered with something that's fireproof. Where in my area, what I can do is I can actually not put the bad insulation behind it. I'll put the rigid foam right back in there. Well, if you have a deep crevice, you might want a little bit of bad insulation, because you want to seal this to the top of your plate for sure. So it needs to at least be onto the top plate of your wall. And then if I cover it with R14 Roxol insulation, which has a fireproof quality to it, then that passes code here because it's got that separation from, from fire and that sort of thing. So, okay, so that's just another way that you can insulate your box end joists like that. So hopefully that gives you the information you need. If you have any other further questions, you can go to our forum like I always say on every one of my videos. Go there, post your question up, and I'll be sure to answer it. You can follow us along on Facebook or Twitter, and you can also check us out if we have a Patreon campaign going on right now, so if you want to go there and check that out, you can. And we hope that this was helpful, and good luck with your project.